I'm Peter Goossens. I'm working with my personal finance since 6 years almost. I'm head of operations, and in that function, I kind of worked like 3 full years into the transition the company was undergoing in terms of business and also digitalizing, automating all processes. And in fact, the biggest challenge was to create this fully automated credit onboarding system. And that's also at that time when we started to look at digital signing possibilities. The main driver was that we wanted to eliminate all paper from our flows. That was really the thing that we had to solve. Because when we looked from it end-to-end perspective, it took about 20 days for a credit application to be approved and financed. Of course, we have a very specific use case where the credit is onboarded in store. Then, of course, needs to go back to headquarters. We had to do checks and then release the funds. That took us about 20 days. So in order to gain time, to drive down the throughput time, we needed, of course, to digitalize. But then, of course, a key component was the signing part. Because, of course, in IT, you can digitize everything, but the signing part was something very peculiar, and at that time, it was not so well known. So that's when we started really to look at digital signing possibilities. A paper contract is like, especially in consumer credits, it takes about 20 pages with a lot of purely legal stuff, a lot of signing to do, a lot of boxes to check, legal mentions not to forget, and in the end all those paper documents came back to the headquarters, and we had really like 50% we had to send back because not compliant, because some pieces are missing and stuff like that. So we needed really a system where we could assure that everything that the client filled in at that time he was in store was right from the start, and also that the signing part, which is a quite complex thing to do, we can easily miss, even you could miss a comma or a small number of the contract is not valid. So that we needed to overcome. So therefore we created this like digital tunnel where the client is engaged in, but then at the end we need to sign. So the signing part really was the key for us to be able that the contract was compliant from the start. And that saves us tremendous time. And also less complaints, less operational incidents, all these things. It was really a big win for everybody, including the store manager, of course, who didn't lose any time explaining over and over and over again where he has to sign. It was easy to use for the customers, and of course for us it was a tremendous gain of time. The first hurdle to overcome was purely legal and compliance stuff. I mean, what is a digital signing process? How does it work? Is it valid? If we go to court, is it something that we can present or not? So that was a lot of discussions. You have to know that at that time, there was not really any case law present, not in Belgium anyway, about that. So we had to guess a little bit. We worked a little bit. Even the best lawyers in town, they could not predict how a judge would act if you were presented a digital signed contract. So the first hurdle to overcome was really to with professors, even we took it back to the university level, with lawyers, with our internal legal people, to assess the risk of applying a digital signing process. And then, moreover, what are the risks involved, and are we ready to take those risks or not? It's kind of a leap of faith to be taken. I'm talking about 2017. It was not very well known at that time, so it was really quite innovative at that time. So that was really the first hurdle to overcome. Secondly, of course, once you have decided, okay, we go for digital signing possibilities, you have to decide which one, the advanced part or the qualified part. At that time, the qualified signing was quite difficult because you needed the little device to be able to generate a token. But of course, we didn't want any hardware in the process. We needed to be as fluid as possible. So user experience was really key. And therefore, we needed to use something that everybody has. That's a smartphone. Right? These days, everybody has a smartphone, so that's easy to use. And therefore, we opted for the advanced signing solution. So second part was really about how does it look for the client? How can we integrate it into the process? Is it easy to use? I would say that a third component was about choosing the partner, of course, because it's something very sensitive, very touchy, it's very, very important in the process. And then, of course, we need a partner who was reliable, who had a proven track record, who's also internationally known, but also specifically in the European context, of course, acquainted with stuff like GDPR and compliance rules like that. But that was a very important component in the selection process as well. And then last, I would say also very important is how to integrate this in our system. So the easiness to integrate it into our IT backend, the APIs to be used, the modularity of the tool should be integrated in different kind of channels. And also the fact that the partner was able to integrate with local initiatives. Like in Belgium, we have the It's Me solution that came afterwards. But I think it's such a fast-moving market and technology that we have to invest in a partner that you are sure that can work with in the long term, and not just choose what's in front of your nose, because next year it will be something completely different. So I think these are the 4 key components that we addressed in the selection process. That's a huge difference. I mean, that's another world. Because first, of course, like we said, we started in store, but then afterwards we adopted it also for our internal signatures in the company. And there we saw it ourselves, because we experienced ourselves how easy it is to sign. Can be an NDA, can be a contract, can be just a procedure, something internal, because you just take your smartphone, you receive your email, and you sign it. So the experience is really tremendous. Now I cannot even think a world where it's not available anymore. So I often will make a joke with if I receive some paperwork from other companies to sign. I often laugh with that, and how is that possible? That, I mean, I have to sign on paper and then send it back by regular mail to you guys. So in the 4 year of time that I'm experiencing the digital signing, I would say it's so normal like that I cannot think the world without it anymore. So advanced signature only requires your phone. You receive an SMS, you sign, it's done. It's something that is easy accessible. Everyone has a phone, or nearly everyone, of course. Whereas the other solutions required extra steps, and that was a nuisance. So we didn't really want to have as simple as possible solution in place. And then, of course, we carefully weighed it against the benefits and also potential problems. If you go to court, you have to present the proofs yourselves. But I think that's in the 4 year times we used, I never had to use it. So I think it's really adopted widespread on the market right now, and it is not a big issue anymore. So I'm really glad we took that decision. I also wanted to point out that when we started this, it was before the pandemic. I cannot imagine now, but if we hadn't done it, it would be extremely difficult for us to have a purely paper flow that originated in a store, and then all the stores went down. It would just be impossible. So it was a question of survival at a certain point in time. So I'm really glad we were just live. We were just live in 2018, so 1 year before the pandemic started. So, yeah, it was a lifesaver. Before, we lost up to 50% of the customers between all documents were drawn up and the actual signing of it, because something went wrong in the process, because a typo or whatever. I mean, we used to have a checklist of more than 150 items that could go wrong on a paper contract. It's unbelievable. And then after the advanced signature, yeah, like I said, it went down to less than 1% churn that we have to fix. So yeah, it was a big success. That was indeed a very important aspect. I think we have a very, very good working relationship, OneSpan and MyWay, since 3-4 years now. I think very important in the beginning was that you have to build confidence, right, to both parties. And we needed a partner that was reliable. Okay, OneSpan had the credentials, but we also needed, I mean, a partner that could think a little bit ahead of us, because I knew what I needed 3 years ago, but then I didn't know what I will need in 1, 2, 3 years ahead. The market is so fast moving. Like I said, when we started our digital onboarding program, some of the technology we started to use is already replaced, like 3 years later. So it was so crucial that we had a partner that could think ahead, and that also very modular approach. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, we signed another, or we had an RFP, and we had another deal with OneSpan also for the KYC part. So that's also important that from every part of digital flow, the starting point is the KYC, know your customer, and then I think players like OneSpan can do it. First of all, and that's very important, I would recommend everybody spend a lot of time in your customer journey design. This is absolutely key. It's a digital world, and a digital world is highly competitive, right? And in a highly competitive world, it's just not enough to drive down costs. You have to win those battles on user experience. So that's absolutely key. So spend a lot of time upfront before you start a project, before you start your vendor selection, in designing the process, getting all the bricks right from a customer point of view. So putting the customer really in the center of the whole process. That's really the first advice I would like to give to everyone. It took us a full year to do so. I mean, it was really time well spent, I would say. Secondly, maybe less relevant now, but it was very relevant 3 to 4 years ago. I would say involve all partners or internal stakeholders from the beginning of the process. Like, for instance, the example I gave from the legal compliance hurdles. Usually, business designs a program, then goes to IT. They do some hocus pocus, and then you have like kind of a digital flow. And then they go to the legal people and say, "Well, please approve." And then they say, "No, of course not. It's not valid." So the question should not be, can I apply this digital solution in that process? The question should be, how can I apply this digital signing process in that process? And if you involve them early enough in the process, in the creative process, in fact, of designing the solution, then you will have a big chance of success. That's really crucial. That's not also with legal people or compliance people, but it's business, it's operations, it's IT, it's everybody from the start. That's, to me, one of the most important success factors, I would say. And then thirdly, third advice would we already mentioned it, choose your technology wisely. Choose it future-proof. You know what you need today, you don't know what you need tomorrow. So you need to partner up with somebody who is big enough, who is reliable enough, who covers the market, who can also easily integrate with local solutions, and think with you on the next level. The fourth, and then the last component, I would say, it's the IT part. It has to be easy to integrate, easy to work with, whether it's a platform or you integrate via APIs in your own workflow. It has to be very modular and like bricks that you can fit into your process. Else you have kind of a vendor lock-in that needs to be avoided from our point of view, at least. And therefore also you need a partner that can think with you on that level. So loosely coupled and future-proof. These are for me the 4 main takeaways, I would say.